Hi peaches, it's Shaaba, welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. You know what time it is? It's Monday, which means it is time to go fishing for some a-holes. Why? Because it's a little bit of juicy drama, it's a little bit of fun. It also means we can hopefully help a couple of people out, maybe the original posters themselves or other people in similar situations, and we can expand our own mindsets along the way, because we love a good self-growth moment. So, shall we go... Wait, hang on. Is that a surfing shark? Look, if you don't know what surf shark is yet, with my Mama Shaaba hat on, this is something you need if you are surfing the internet. Jamie and I have been using Surfshark for years, and the amount of people that don't use VPNs to protect against the actual a-holes of the web. Oof. A huge thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. They are definitely not the a-hole, because for those of you who don't know, Surfshark VPN keeps your online identity safe by encrypting all the information sent between your device and the internet. Its clean web feature means you can surf the net safely without having to worry about ads, trackers, malware, or phishing attempts, but you can still go fishing with me every Monday. Surfshark also swaps the real location of your device with a new one around the world, which means you can virtually travel to any country. You jet setter, you. To access and unlock content libraries like Netflix worldwide. Netflix doesn't have that show that you really wanted to watch in your location? Not a problem anymore. Or if you're on holiday but you're watching Buffy for the first time and you're really confused but kind of digging it because Buffy and Spike seem to have something going on, then Surfshark has your back. I literally did this. I was on a cruise and I used Surfshark so that I could watch Buffy. It was one shark that I was very grateful to be in the sea with me. And Surfshark literally does all of this without storing, monitoring, or tracking what you do. That's right, there's no connection or activity logs. I don't judge you, and Surfshark does neither. Plus, you can use one account on an unlimited number of devices. Unlimited. So, Peach, if you're interested, you can get an exclusive Surfshark Black Friday deal if you get your little peachy butt downstairs in the description box and take a look at my link, surfshark.deals/Shaaba, and if you use my code Shaaba, you can get up to an additional 6 months free. And look babe, if you try it and you don't like it, Surfshark have a 30-day money back guarantee, so there's literally no risk. You should definitely give it a go. What are you waiting for? And what are we waiting for? Is it time? It's time to go fishing for some a-holes. Let's go. Am I the arsehole for giving a fake name at Starbucks? You know, the amount of times that I've gone to Starbucks and they have spelt my name wrong, I might as well give out a fake name each time. Alright, so I am a 22-year-old man and I think this whole thing is ridiculous, but my girlfriend, age 21, is really angry at me, so here we go. I don't like giving my real name at places like Starbucks and similar stores where they shout out your name when the order is ready. I totally get that it's like a USP of Starbucks. Are there other shops that do this? Everywhere I go, if you have to like wait for your order, you're given a ticket and you have a number, but never a name. And I kind of get why they do it, but I'm also not a fan. Like, I'm just like, it's cool. No one else needs to know that I'm here. I can't tell you why. I have a normal, reasonably common name that I like fine enough, but for some reason it majorly creeps me out when a barista shouts my name through a room full of strangers. You know what? I feel you, OP. My name is not so common, but I still feel you. I guess it's just some harmless quirk, at least to me, that I have, says OP. And that's totally fine. We're allowed to have preferences. It's not a rule. You don't have to show your passport and social security number in order to get a coffee. It's okay. So, says OP, whenever I'm at a store, when they want my name, I say it's Tom. That's literally the name that I use. Nothing inappropriate, nothing outlandish, just plain Tom. Do you think some people do give fake names, but you know, like Bart Simpson, make ones that are just super inappropriate?
Yeah, hello, is Mike there? Last name, Roch. Hold on, I'll check. Mike Roch!
Because I feel like if I was a barista and I saw that, I'd be like, really? I know that I'm meant when they call it, as I always use the same one so there's no confusion or anything. They yell Tom, I get my drink or my food, and it's never been a problem. Until now. A couple of days ago I was at Starbucks with my new girlfriend and I ordered our drinks while she sat down. I gave them my fake name, as always, and when our order was ready, they shouted Tom, I went and I got it. My girlfriend was a bit confused. She asked me if I went and got someone else's order, which is fair enough, so I explained the thing to her, and I thought that's that. But she got really angry. She says that it's very disrespectful to lie like that, and that I'm making everybody in the store out to be creeps who will do something bad if they know my name, which is not at all what's happening. I just don't like it when they yell my real name, so I found a harmless way to get around that. But she can't see it like that. She thinks that I'm a pathological liar who is way too suspicious of everyone and that I need to stop. I can't really see the problem that she has. It's really not that deep. Here's the thing, non-Tom, OP. I'm with you. I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's not a big deal. And sometimes this can happen a lot, right? Where we don't think that things are a very big deal, but other people, especially loved ones, can take things like a really big deal. So sometimes I'm on the other end of that, and I'm making things a really big deal that in hindsight, when I've had a moment to calm down and I can see things more objectively, I'm like, oh yeah, I did kind of turn that little mole into a mountain, you know? What might not be a big deal to you might be a big deal to someone else, and sometimes it might even be justified to them. It may be that this is a trigger point. We'll go into that in a second though, let's just read the end. I don't think I'm hurting anyone, or am I? Asks OP. I'm very confused by her reaction and asking myself if I'm the arsehole after all for something that I can't really comprehend. So, am I the arsehole for giving a fake name? Alright, I feel very strong with this one. No, OP, I don't think you are the arsehole. Especially with a name like Tom. If you're going and doing something super controversial, then I'd be like, yeah, that's an arsehole move, but not because it's fake, but because you're, you know, forcing other people to comply with their policies and say something that is really silly. My question is the girlfriend an arsehole? Because I was going to say no arseholes here, but here's where I think that she is being a soft arsehole. And we need a bit more context, right? I feel like this is a perfect context to have that kind of conversation. If she's a new girlfriend as well, it might be a little bit tricky, but the reality is this has clearly hit her some kind of way. I'm going to try and explain something. This sounds like a stupidly simple rule, but honestly, it has changed my life. The way that I speak with other people and interact and perceive other people, it has changed my life. 99.999% of the time, people don't do bad things because they're bad people. It's like, duh, Shaaba, of course, but how does that help me? Well, when I see situations like this, and I'm like, girlfriend, you are acting out in a way that I wouldn't expect. Some people might be like, oh, for God's sakes, why on earth is she being so dramatic? What is the big deal? Why do you have to be such a drama queen? But 99.9% of the time, there is always a reason that is influencing why somebody is acting that kind of way. As I said, this seems to have really triggered something. And it might be that if we had lived the same journey that girlfriend did in this post, we would be feeling the same way. Perhaps there's been an experience in the past where she has been burnt by trusting someone who lied to her, perhaps in the form of a name or an identity. Or, especially because of this line here, you're making everyone in the store to be creeps who'll do something bad if they know my name, which is not at all what's happening. Sounds like maybe she could have even been put in that position. Maybe she's been accused of being a creep or creepy in some way for knowing something very basic, like someone's name, and then she's feeling bad on behalf of the other people, like, oh, well, why don't you trust them? When really what she's trying to say is, why didn't somebody else in the past trust me, and now it's brought it back and I'm feeling some kind of way. Sometimes it could be none of these things. Maybe she just has really strict morals and values on this that don't seem to align with the rest of society's. This is my very long way of saying that I was therefore going to say no arseholes here because I don't think that she's an arsehole. However, we all have pasts, we all have experiences like that, and whilst talking about things like that can really make our relationships stronger, the connections that we have stronger, build the trust and the disclosure between us and our loved ones, which is amazing. We're very here for that. We also have to recognise that these experiences that we have and these triggers that we have shouldn't be used to justify acting out in ways and hurting other people. It may be that she's hurt, but if that is true, it may not be her fault. It's still her problem, and she shouldn't be projecting that problem onto you, OP. So yes, I would consider girlfriend in this instance to be a soft arsehole. Putting myself in the position of someone standing there, hearing other names, even if I saw someone who I knew had one name, go up to pick up an order and use a different name, I might raise an eyebrow and be like, okay, Bob. But if they explained and was just like, I just don't like my name being shouted in public, okay. It's your identity in this world where we're wanting to be a bit more private and we're not wanting to share everything with everyone. Says me, who often overshares online, but you know, we're working on those boundaries. I don't see the big deal, and I certainly don't think that you are the arsehole. I do the same thing. I've got a common name that can sound like many other names, so the confusion adds up. I give a name that's easily recognisable. For your girlfriend to get so worked up over it is a bit much. Ugh, good thing that she's a new girlfriend, you didn't invest too much time in the relationship. If she's nitpicking, perhaps you two aren't a good fit. This is my biggest problem with this forum, and that's that people constantly jump to break up, get rid of them, put them in the bin. People are allowed to grow. You know, we have to give people moments to grow. If we broke up with people or dropped them to the curb, anytime someone did something we didn't like, we wouldn't have relationships with anybody ever. Not the arsehole. I used to work at one of these places that asked for names. This person says they actually enjoyed coming up with goofy fake names for the other people and popping it in the system. They loved it and I wasn't upset. Most people don't care. It's just a job, and honestly they probably think that having to ask for names is silly and just another dumb rule that corporate's pushing onto them. I always go by Darth Vader because no one's gonna take Darth Vader's frappuccino. Ah, I see. I wonder if there are people who do just use goofy names. I personally don't use a goofy name, but I rarely use my own name. Mostly because people can't pronounce or spell Shaaba, and then when they do end up calling my order, they use a different name that I'm like, are they trying to... Is that me? Like, the amount of times I've had people go Charlotte, and I'm like, is that an actual Charlotte? Or have you just thought Shaaba is Charlotte? I don't know. So I just say Jamie. I just use Jamie's name all the time. Well, there you go. There seems to be some sort of consensus on the forum. Alright, shall we move move on. Am I the arsehole for telling my boyfriend that I don't want to live with the family after the wedding? Ooh, this feels a bit spicy. I'm a 27-year-old woman, and I've been with my boyfriend, 29, for about 4 years now. So you got together when you were 23. Cool. Now that the relationship's getting serious and we're discussing the wedding, I've time and again mentioned that I don't want to live with the family after the wedding, but he wants us to. By the family, do you mean your boyfriend's family? I can only draw from my own experience. This is a really common thing in Asian households, right? Like boy, girl, it's very cis het vanilla, get married, move in with the boy's family, the girl's family are upset, but also so proud that their girl is now owned by another family. It's this whole thing. It's not that I have anything against them, but I want an independent life and I like my space. Now he's giving me shit for my choices and blaming me for not giving his family a chance. Okay, so it definitely sounds like it's his family. I'm an otherwise loving person and I'd love to take care of his family, but does that mean that I can't choose to have an independent life? Asks OP. Is it necessary for love and care to be expressed only through living with them? I'm confused because he keeps mentioning that this is the one thing that's really important to him and he wants me to adjust, and keeps saying that relationships and marriages are all about compromises. He's a great guy and he makes me truly happy and I do see my life with him, but this is one aspect that's very much bothering me. So am I the arsehole telling my boyfriend I don't want to live with him? No, you are absolutely not the arsehole. Big, not the arsehole. I get it. I'm also feeling some kind of way about this. It's making me feel a little bit uncomfortable because, yes, it is true, relationships do require compromise, but when we're talking about compromise, we're like, hey, let's watch your show first and my show tomorrow. Even if it's to do with bigger values, compromises can be found, but this doesn't sound like a compromise to me. There are some things that are quite easy to compromise on where you can then do both. The TV show thing that I just mentioned. But this doesn't sound like a compromise. The thing like the TV show is easy to compromise on because there is space to accommodate both of your desires. But in situations like this, do we live with other people or do we live independently, just the two of us? There's no way to accommodate both. You can't live with family and not live with the family. You can't live with family one day and not live with the family the day after. And so the communication coming from boyfriend here is really raising a red flag for me. Because what you're hearing is we need to compromise. But what he's really saying is you need to do what I want and I'm not taking into regards what you want. And that just doesn't sit very well with me. You know, my gut's doing its little tingly thing. And perhaps I'm seeing this with a really pessimistic lens, but when I hear people say, oh, he's such a great guy, it's just this one thing, that only flies in certain situations. It makes sense if in the context it's small cheese problems. Oh, he's a really great guy, but it really grates on me when he cracks his knuckles. But when it's like, oh, he's a really great guy when he's in a good mood, but when he's in a bad mood, he doesn't treat me very well. He's not a great guy then, babe. Or like, oh, I can see my life with him, but I really want kids and he doesn't want kids. Then can you really see your life with him? Because he can't see his life with children. And if you want children, that's just something that's not going to be compatible. You know that I don't like jumping to the conclusions of relationships just not working. And maybe this is something that you can absolutely work through. But if there is no budging from either of you on that, it just feels like one of those issues that is a bit of a deal breaker in a relationship. And if one of you caves and doesn't enjoy it, it's just going to be a cause of resentment that's going to build up in your relationship and ultimately negatively affect the two of you. So no, I don't think you are the arsehole for not wanting it. I also don't think that he is an arsehole for wanting it. I do think he's an arsehole for what seems to me is very manipulative behaviour and being like, you're the one that needs to compromise. But at the end of the day, babe, who you live with is a really big decision and you need to do what's right for you. Han, I'm sorry, but you need to put the wedding on hold. He wants compromise, but only from you. Not the arsehole. It's pretty uncommon and dated to still live with parents after you get married, and it's totally understandable and respectable to want to live alone with just your spouse. I see where this comment is coming from a Western mindset, absolutely. However, I also think this is coming from a culturally blinkered perspective. In a lot of the Asian world and beyond, it's not even a question. You live with your parents. You live in this community. It would be unquestionable to think that a couple would live by themselves away from the family home. So just wanted to keep that in mind whenever we have conversations, that the way that we live is not the way that everybody lives, and that's okay. You're not the arsehole here, but your ideas of married life clearly differ entirely. He doesn't want to compromise, he wants you to do as he says. If you agree to this and marry him, it'll get worse and you'll have a very miserable and difficult to leave life. Please reconsider the relationship while you can. Again, there seems to be some consensus. I really hope it goes well, OP. Shall we move on to another? Am I the arsehole for not letting my aunt use my car? My aunt recently went through her second divorce and was out of a place to stay because of it. We offered to let her live with us until she got back on her feet because she was unemployed. I had no problem with this because my house had a guest bed where she could stay in. The next morning after her arrival, I go downstairs to get breakfast and I'm greeted with my mum, dad and aunt standing there waiting for me. Uh-oh, my barrier's gone up. I say good morning to them and they don't say it back, just straight to business. They told me that my aunt doesn't have any form of transportation, and so she'll be using my car until she finds a job and can get her own. She will now, will she? They basically tell me that I have no car for an unknown amount of time. I can't let this happen because of school, work, and friends, but they tell me that it's non-negotiable. I bite back by saying that they have the right to make their terms non-negotiable if they paid for the gas and the insurance of the car, which they don't. I do with my money from my part-time job, and that my terms are non-negotiable. Such terms are no, she won't use my car as if it's her own and not mine. For the record, I already knew that she needed a car and was willing to let her use mine on occasion if she asked permission, but given the manner in which they presented this to me, now the only exception I'll make is if she needs a hospital. Okay. I sense the bitterness. I understand the bitterness. It was a bit of a weird way to bring it up. My only question now is who bought the car, because OP's saying that they spend gas and insurance money. Is it like a family car? Is it a car that they bought and gifted to OP? I feel like we need some more context there. They immediately blew up in my face about my comeback, so I just tuned them out and focused on not spilling my frosted flakes, but I managed to hear, "You're a part of this family, and we make sacrifices for each other, blah blah blah." I just wasn't having any of it. I realised that I wasn't going to enjoy my breakfast in peace, so I gave up and left them with behave like adults and maybe I will negotiate. My parents were going to follow me, but my aunt panics and starts screaming at them rather than me, so their focus shifts to calming her down instead of stopping me. Oh, this sounds very messy. I go to my dad's office and grab the spare keys from his desk and then upstairs to my room for my main keys and wallet. I leave the house with them still arguing about what they're going to do. I was also smart enough to turn off my location services and leave the tile inside my car on the floor. Oh dear. It's not inherently a terrible thing if there's location services and tracking tiles. Sometimes in really healthy and functioning family dynamics, devices like that are welcomed. But this is giving me bad vibes because of what's happening. I end up going to my girlfriend's house to lie low for a bit. I explain the whole ordeal to her and she agrees entirely with me and that they're wrong for just taking ownership of my car. Later we meet up with friends and mess around for a bit, all while my phone is practically unusable because of the barrage of calls and texts. I explain my situation to them and they also agree with me. We end up planning to have a sleepover at my friend's place because it's the weekend before Halloween, but also because I can't go home right now. Unfortunately, this is where the story ends. I'm now sitting next to my girlfriend watching Breaking Bad with friends whilst writing this, and we're having a laugh about all of it. Am I the asshole? This is tricky. Hang on, no. I don't think you're the asshole for being like, no, you can't just take my car. Your aunt needs a place to stay, your family's taken them in, it's cute. Of course there's going to be some changes, and I think it's really fair of you to be like, well, of course my aunt would have been able to use my car, I suspected as much, but not to take it from me where I can then not use it. And I agree, that's the right thing to do. Aunt has to understand that she's coming in and impeding on somebody else's family relationship. You all have daily routines, and you can't just totally change that up to help someone when it's not fully required, and I don't see a world in which this is fully required. There's just two things that I'm like, questioning. The first is the ownership of the car. OP doesn't say how old they are, but they go to school, they have a job, so I'm assuming because you can drive, you're like over the age of 16? Is that the age in America to drive? I'm pretty sure it's 17 here in the UK that you can get your provisional license. But my point is, you sound like you're basically functioning as an adult, in which case if you bought your car and you're paying for the maintenance of the car, who on earth is your aunt to take that from you? However, if your parents got you the car and you're now using the car and paying for the monthly upkeep, maybe there's a question in who can have a say and who has authority on who uses the car. Like maybe there's a question there. If we don't think it's the car, but a room in a house, for example, I have seen so many times families who don't have spare rooms, right, be like, hey, child, you have to get out of your room because this person who's coming to live in a temporary situation with us needs it more. You're on the couch for a couple of days. Yes, it's your room. However, because parents are literally paying and providing for all of it, that power dynamic shift means that often kids are just like, okay, well, I have to, right? But I'm not saying that it's right, though. I definitely think the way that the parents came about this was really wrong. You can't be like, oh, we're taking it, it's non-negotiable. Why can't you share? I don't understand. And even if ultimately what the parents are thinking is, oh, well, it's not feasible to share because maybe the aunt needs it for a really long period of time or they've thought about it in advance, your kid's old enough where they have a job, they're using a car, they're going to school, treat them like an adult and have that as a conversation. Be like, we were thinking about this, however, this is why we don't think that's going to work. It's rude. It's just rude of the family. That's number one. The second thing that I'm thinking is it was a little bit arsehole of you to just literally leave and not tell them. Like, you've not told them where you are, you're now staying the night, I'm assuming they don't know where you are, and if you're safe, that then becomes a safety worry for me, because I'm like, God, if my loved one's angry with me, we can be having the worst argument in the world, I just want to know that they're safe. Even if it's just a text to be like, hey, I'm safe. Just tell me that you're okay. But neither of those, I think, mitigate the fact that you're not the asshole in the situation. Wow, why doesn't one of your parents let her use their car? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You're part of this family. We make sacrifices for each other. What sacrifice is she making for you? That is a really great point. I think often, and I still do this sometimes, there's a lot of unlearning for me. I look at family dynamics and I'm like, we have to respect our elders. We always have to do things up. But that's not the case. Just because someone's older than you doesn't mean that they deserve respect when they're not giving you respect. Respect is a two-way street regardless of age or status. Here we go. Whose name's on the title and who paid for it? OP says the car's registered in my name. Dad paid for it first, but over the next year he took money out of my account and has since stopped. So I imagine I've paid back for it in full. All combined with insurance. I mean, if you've therefore paid for all of it, great. But again, it's making me feel like that power dynamic is definitely in pay if Dad's just doing that and you don't know. You don't know why he's taking money out of your account. You don't know if you fully paid back for the car. If this is true, it suggests that maybe you're not fully responsible because you're not having to fully understand the terms of your ownership. But again, that doesn't stop the fact that it was rude of your parents to be like, it's mine. And it's still, at the end of the day, your money that's gone towards it, right? So you, for all intents and purposes, own the car. They should be asking, not telling you. Oh, all right. I feel like we've been quite lucky. I'm going to jinx it now. But quite lucky with very straightforward convictions. Let's hope this one is just as easy. Let's go fishing one more time today. Am I the arsehole for letting my parents be rude to my girlfriend? Oh, I've been dating Emily for more than a year, and my parents invited her to spend Thanksgiving with us this year. Let me now briefly introduce you to my parents. They are wealthy, from an upper class family, and they openly display certain attitudes and expectations that would be considered elitist. Look, I need to disclaim that I've just been watching Gilmore Girls and now I feel like I'm in the show. Emily, not Gilmore, was really excited for Thanksgiving and thrilled to meet my family when I told her about the invitation. But because of how judgmental and elitist my parents were, I had my doubts. They never hesitate to make rude jokes or underhanded compliments, and they have a tendency to exclude those who don't fit into their social circle. This is so frustrating. This is like, it's Romeo and Juliet. It's the two worlds colliding. It's so sad. I made the decision to discuss my worries with Emily openly. I informed her that my parents have a tendency to be critical of others, particularly those who don't belong to the same social class. I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable during a get-together. Emily told me that she could handle herself and that she would love to give it a try. This is really sweet. So far, I feel like everything's been done right. Despite your background, you seem to be really super aware that what your parents do is not okay. And so for somebody to come from that background and, you know, benefit from social class, but be super aware of that privilege and be aware of the dangers that that privilege can have and how it can hurt people, OP sounds like a good egg to me. Do you know what I mean? Not only that, you're then like, yeah, I want you to see my family. I don't want to keep these worlds apart, but I also want to have this really open and honest discussion with you to let you know that it might not be what you expect and it might not be fantastic. And Emily, being fully informed, has understood and is like, yeah, sure, let's do it. How sweet is this? Communication is key. And so far, I feel like all the communication's been amazing. So I'm sad that this has gone sour. But truly, brownie badge, because right now you're displaying fantastic relationship practices. Emily asked to leave after dinner, and I could see that she was on the verge of tears. No, I feel like such an idiot for not speaking up for her and confronting my parents' condescension. She told me how hurt and ashamed that she felt when we got back to her place and that she would never want to see my parents again. I'm unsure. On the other hand, I think that I ought to have done more to protect Emily from the condescending and elitist actions of my parents. She still wanted to give it a shot though, and I felt that I was being honest about it. This is so frustrating. Oh gosh, and I did jinx it because now I'm like, no, this is complex. I don't have a clear conviction. And do you know why? I feel like there's so much context missing. I was so invested in this storyline. We were like going to the dinner party. Emily was all ready for it. The conversation had happened. And now it's like, the dinner party's happened and she's sad. What happened at the dinner party? What did the parents say? How did you react? When you say you didn't confront the parents for the condescension, was it an appropriate context for you to confront? Why didn't you confront? Did you feel some kind of way? And did you tell Emily beforehand? Not only are my parents going to be like this, I am also not gonna step in if they say things like this because I don't feel comfortable, because it will cause more family politics than I am willing to provide. I need so much more. Is there more? I can't see that there's anything more. Oh, okay. Right, on this basis alone. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to say, babe, you're the arsehole. Ooh, yeah. Hear me out. Look, I get it. You did the good things, all the good relationship practices where you said that they might not be nice, and they weren't nice to the point where Emily never wants to see them again. I can only imagine the kind of things that they would have said, or the ways that they would have treated her, or made her feel. At the same time, that it doesn't sound like in those discussions that you said, look, and when this happens, I will not stand up for you, or that I will help you. I'll of course fight your battles. If they're saying unjust things, I'm not going to allow it to happen. I'm gonna be there for you, Emily. None of that was said. So sure, you informed Emily, but it sounds like it was only partially informed. And then when things happened, you didn't really do the right thing in being a unit and standing up for your partner when you can clearly see that things are unjust. And you can tell that they're unjust because you're calling them condescending and elitist. Apply this to any other situation. Hey, Peach, we're gonna go to the zoo together and I'm gonna take you to the lion enclosure. I wanna let you know there's gonna be dangerous lions there. They tend to scratch. They tend to not be okay. You'd be looking at me being like, okay, well, this is something that you do regularly. It's something that's going to progress our relationship because, you know, lion encounters are one of those relationship milestones. Shaaba's chosen the wrong metaphor, but we're just gonna roll with it. I'm sure you'd be thinking at this point, hey, well, you've survived the lions. We're gonna go and see the lions together. It's gonna be fine. But then if you're in the lion enclosure and a lion's running towards you in a really aggressive way, and I'm like, whoop, I'm out of here. Like, that's not what you would have expected, right? Not if I've invited you to the lion enclosure and let you know that sometimes they can be dangerous. At the same time though, I wonder if maybe there's a tiny element of blame that can also be put on Emily here. Not anything to warrant giving her a badge in any way, I don't think, but in the sense that surely in those kinds of conversations, the natural questions would be like, hey, so dangerous lions, how do I protect myself from said dangerous lions? What are we gonna do to be safe from the dangerous lions? Taking it away from my terrible metaphor, just in case some of you are not understanding, what on earth will you stand up for me? Like, what are the kind of things that your parents say? What do I do if they say something like that? Can I stand up for myself? Would you be offended? If I just walked out, would we walk out together? These are the kind of conversations that I would be having. So, yeah, it just feels like there's a lot of context missing, but with the context that I have, I do think maybe this is a you are the arsehole. What do you think though, Peaches? This is definitely a trickier one. You are the arsehole. Of course you wanted to meet your parents, you're the one that knows them, she doesn't. You should have stood up for her or date people that your parents would approve of. No one deserves to be treated like crap because they're not as rich as someone else. Totally appreciate that last sentiment. No one deserves to be treated like crap. However, I don't agree with you should therefore only date people that your parents would approve of, because doesn't that just sound like the most terrible way to continue cycles and cycles of generational trauma and bad practice? How on earth is the world going to grow and people going to change if we are only doing things to try and accommodate other people, especially other people that don't have to live day in, day out with the love choices of a relationship? I'm in a relationship that many of my loved ones didn't approve of, and I fought so hard for that relationship because it's my relationship, not theirs. They don't have a say. So I do fight back on that just a little bit. You are the arsehole. Telling her in advance that your parents are judgmental is different to warning her that you would let them criticize her without comment. I think that's what it is, isn't it? That's the bit that she's hurt by. You are the arsehole, so you're still too scared of your parents to say anything. Oh, definitely sounds like it could be a great spin-off for the Gilmore Girls. This was a hot, spicy one, Peach. What do you think, my loves? Did you enjoy it? If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. And remember to check out Surfshark because it's pretty cool. Clicking on that little link in the description box would really support this channel and also could really support you with your internet surfing. Thanks again for watching, my loves. I'll see you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.